Here we go for Chapter 9's homework, otherwise known as 1A or A1. First question is about taxes, which will be covered in the chapter but not necessarily covered in class. Turns out all three of these are what's known as pass-through entities. So if you pick that up, that's good. You understand for tax purposes what you got. Pass-through entities. So the answer is C. They're all alike. They're not absolutely similar, but they're fairly close. Answer C. Okay, now we go to number 2. Here we have a capital count of 100. To retire is going to get paid 160. Goodwill method is going to be used. It means we got to get this account up to 60K more. 60K more implies a value, since it's 40% ownership, implies a goodwill value of 150. So the goodwill we're going to try to put on the books is for a total 150. 40% of that is 60. So 60 also goes to Dana. He was at 60,000 before. Add 60,000 to him now, and thus he becomes 120. And then that's how he'll stay once Robert is retired. End of discussion. Not the easiest problem because of the way it's written, but it's arguably not. It's arguably correct. I don't know what that means, but you'll figure it out. It is the right answer. E is the right answer. Okay, let's go next to problem 3. Here we have a 2-year problem, so we've got to figure out what the capital accounts are in year 3, meaning 2013, the second year really, in order to be able to apply the 10% of capital. So let's try that. Let's say that net income is 150 in year 2012. So if we started off with a total balance in the partnership net assets between these capital accounts and this one, which I just will take off so you can see the numbers, that's 450. So we add 150. That's real good, except there's a drawing for each partner, $1,000 a month. So 12,000 times 3 is 36. So it means our capital accounts at the end of 2012 would have been 600 minus 36, or 564. So in 2013, the amount of interest for the partnership capital accounts would have been 56,400. 56,400. And what we're going to do now is figure out the net income that gets divided according to the percentages. So let's make some erasures here. In other words, in 2013, what has to happen is we've got to take the 180 adjusted for the items that we just spoke about. So take 180 minus 56.4, which is the interest given out to all the partners for their partnership capital account, minus the $10,000 paid in compensation, leaves us with 113,600. That at the percentage here for Nolan is 40%. So he's going to get 45,440 out of the remaining profits. He'll also get his 10% for his capital account. His capital account would have started off at, well, we don't even need to do that. We just take can we take 40% of the 56,400? Can we do that? Because that we know is the amount, so 40% is his share. Will that work? I think we need to know what his capital account is, which means you got to go back and figure out his capital account at the end of 2012. So you got to do everything we're doing for 2013 all over again, but for the first year. So we started off with his balance would have been 200. His share of the whatchamacallit, his share of the capital account interest would have been 20, and his share of the net income after all the deductions like we just did for this year would have been 38, minus his distributions of 12. And let's see what that comes out to. 220 plus 38 minus 12 means he was at 246 at the end of 2012. 2012 he was at 246, and that means that his share of the interest would have been 10% of that, or 24,600. So that's where we add to the 45,400 that he otherwise is allocated, and that'll give us this answer down here, 70,040. If you didn't follow all that, listen to it again and see if it doesn't make sense, or send me an email. Okay, let's roll forward. Let's do number 4, and then we'll take a break, I think. So number 4 goes like this. It's not so bad. We're going to bring in a new partner for 100,000. So when he gets finished with that, we're going to have 400 in net assets. And this way we're doing it is not through goodwill, but he's supposed to have a 35%. So 35% of the 400 will be 140. So the new guy's capital count must be 140. He's only putting in 100, which means we got to take away 40 from everybody else. The ratio is given 3-2 between the two guys. So of the 40 that we got to take away, 2/5 of this, I think, is what we'll be looking at, which would be 16,000. Has to come off of Haynes's capital account. We take 100 and reduce it by 16. We're going to wind up with 84, and that's the right answer for number 4. All right, that was not so bad. So we can move right along into number 5. This is a little bit of a tricky question, but the secret is in that language there. Requires, not required. Admonished that we should do it. Recommended highly they should do it, yes, but not a requirement. So E becomes the answer. All the other ones are true. All right, let's try number 6. And I see that number 6 is a continuation of a prior problem. That's just asking for the other guy. Before we asked for Dana, now we're asking for Peter. What will his goodwill part play out? So let's do the same thing. 60 was the amount that we have to increase Robert's capital count by, which gives us an implied value of 150 total goodwill. 40% of this is what we just did. That's how we got to that. 40% of that is an implied goodwill of 150. So 20% of 150, which is where Peter is, right? 20% is 30,000. So if his capital count was 80 and we add 30 to it, we're going to wind up with 110. Answer E is correct, and we're moving right along really nicely. Let's look at number 7, which is another continuation of the same problem. And let's see what we got here. So they're really asking for what's the capital going to be left after he retires. So we already figured 110 for Peter in this question. We figured 120 for the other guy. So it's going to be 330 altogether. I'm sorry, 230 altogether. And that becomes the answer E, and that knocks that one out. So that's just a continuation of the same type of problem, same numbers. So we can move to number 8. Where's number 8? Here's number 8, which fortunately is a continuation of a prior problem as well. Same numbers. Only problem is we're doing 2 years, so we're not going to remember what the heck we did back in the other problem. But let's see what we got. We went into Wasser's capital account. Wasser starts out with 150, and that's beginning of 2012. So let's see what happened. Let's carry it forward. Maybe it'll be a good review of the other problem. So let's go. Here we go. Hold your horses. In 2012, Wasser's share of income for interest on his capital account would have been $15K. Let's do a T account of his capital account. Shall we? That makes it maybe easier. So that's the beginning of 2012. He had 150. He is credited with $15K, the 10%, for his share of capital account. Wasser is not the one given. Oh yeah, Wasser also gets the $10,000 compensation, so he gets that added to his capital account. And then we're going to split the profits after all else is done. So let's see what the profits were. For that year it was 150 minus the 45 interest for the capital accounts. That would leave us 95 after the 10 of compensation. These are subtractions. 95, and Wasser's share is, don't tell me, Wasser's share is 40%, so 40% of the 95 will also get credited to him, which is 38. And now we can find, and then he gets a distribution of 12. So let's see what that actually comes to for his capital account at the end of 2012, which I think we needed. So that's 25, because that's a 0. 25 plus 38 minus 12 means he should have been at 201 at the end of 2012. So now we have to do the same thing for 2013. So let's clear the deck. Just make a note that we're going to start off at 2001 at the beginning of 2013. 20100. Hope we got the right number from that year. So in the next year, their capital accounts, do I remember what they were? No, I don't remember what they were. So we're going to have to... Oh, no, I know what it was. It was 56.4. 56.4 represented the total capital accounts at 10%. Because the total, we did this before, so you might have to redo it yourself, but the total capital accounts at the end of 2012 should have come out to 564. So this is the interest portion for that year. All right, did we need that? I don't know, but let's take 201 times 40 times 10%. That would have been, he would have gotten 20,100. And then he would have gotten the 10 for compensation. And now he would get the remaining 40% split of the partnership's net income. So it started at 180. Subtract the 56.4. That's why we needed that number to know what the total capital account interest 10% was for everybody. Subtract the 10,000 as compensation to Wasser. So we're going to be left with, to divide up, again we did this before but I have to do it again, 56.4 minus the 10, we're going to be left to divide up according to the percentages, this total of 113,600. Wasser's share of that is 40%, or 45.40. We could have gotten that number right from our guy Nolan in the last time when we did this. Why didn't I do that? I don't know, but we didn't. So we're getting extra practice, and then he gets this added to it. So let's see what that comes out to. Now this is just going to add to his capital account. So we got 45,440 going in. We got 20,100 going in. We got 10,000 going in. We got 12,000 as a draw coming out. So it nets a number for the 201. So let's do the T account. The T account starting with 201, adding in the 20,100. So that's a plus. Adding in the 10,000. Subtracting or adding. Let's add in the 45,000. 440, and then subtract out the draws of 12,000, and we get 264,540, which is C, and that is the right answer. How do you like that? Didn't even know if I was going in the right direction to get the right answer. I did, and we're going to stop and pause here.